All right. How you doing, folks? Ron Raymond here of the Raymond Report Sports Betting Podcast for a Football Friday. Today is Friday, October 9th. I'm always joined by my good friend and co-partner, Ross Benjamin, or I should say, you know what? I'm just tired of saying you're hot. Ross Benjamin, NFL handicapper. And Ross, show number 50 today for October 9th.
That's a commemorative show, you know. Hey, look, man, when we started this project, we had a goal in mind, and we're starting to slowly see that goal come to fruition. And our goal for you folks, so you know, is our goal is to be something different. Not just one of these pick videos that everybody's putting out these days. And you pay for our picks, our best picks. There's no two ways about it, but that's not why we do this show. Why we do this show is we want to educate people, and our main goal, speaking of goals, is that we make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. And that's even if you watch every day. If you watch Tuesday through Friday on this show, we're hoping by Friday you're a lot smarter than you were on Thursday a lot smarter than Wednesday. So a little bit at a time into that knowledge base goes a long way.
Yeah. And what other show do you get a live dog that comes full of mud into your elevator?
You know, it's funny because we were joking after we got off air. It's just coincidental. Both times that Ron was talking about underdogs near the end of the show, Rusty comes in and starts barking.
Yeah.
So, hey, you know, it's like I said, it's the Mr. Ed of dogs.
Yeah. Oh, this is crazy, right? And you know what, Russ? Ross.
Yes.
We'll call you Rusty there. You know, we do have people who email us and follow the show, and we want to give a special shout out to Lloyd McCullough right now, who listens to our show daily. And you know what? Thank you for being a loyal follower and listener to our show, and appreciate everything that you've sent to us.
Yeah, very nice gentleman, and he subscribes to both me and Ron's services, and he mentioned yesterday that he was very thankful that he asked me about Kogo the other day, and I brought it up to you, Ron, and you went through the explanation for him, and he was very grateful, and very nice gentleman. And Lloyd, thank you for all your support.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Hey, it's Football Friday, Ross, and sure enough, Ross Benjamin kicks off Football Friday with a winner with the Chicago Bears yesterday at our premium picks. I gave out the under last night on the YouTube channel, so hey, it's a good way to start Week 5 with 2-0 right out of the gate, and we will have our winners hopefully winners in our premium pick section. And folks, if you are interested in the membership at atsstats.com, right now we're running a special promo to the end of October. MLB 20, you get 20% off any membership packages right here at atsstats.com or premium picks, and that's MLB 20 and get 20% off. Before we get to the NFL Week 5, Ross, just a little recap. Game 5 tonight, Yankees Ray. You know what? I've been on the Rays all year. I'm going to back them up again tonight. I know it's going to be a tough task with Garrett Cole, but both starters going on short notice tonight.
Yeah, first time ever to Garrett Cole's going on 3 days rest. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires there. I got a little uneasy feeling being a Yankee fan because, you know, it just seems when these guys go on shorter rest, they're nowhere near as effective. You know, but look, this guy Cole, he's a proven playoff performer. Okay, but Tampa Bay has hit like 7 home runs off of him this year, which obviously he's not as dominant against them as he is against other teams. But Ron, you know, I like to go under in these games, and I know that sounds contradictory to what I just said, only because it's that Game 7 deciding Game 5 syndrome in every sport, which seems to be defense, tighten defense, great pitching. Both starting pitchers, will be on a short hook tonight, Ron. If they show any signs that that the 3 days rest is affecting them, there's no tomorrow, right? So you got to expend every avenue and every asset that you have, meaning the bullpen. So I'm looking forward to this game, Ron.
It's that comfortable pick. You know, you got 2 aces going. You got a 7. Anytime you see a 7.5 total, you're right there. That your mindset goes to, pitching matchup,
Yeah.
it's just
I think there's a couple books that even came down to 7, if I'm not mistaken, Ron.
yeah.
But in any event, it's a low total. You're correct.
Yeah, and I did some research on that game with Garrett Cole and Tyler Glasnow. Glasnow against the Yankees, lifetime 4-2, 4-2 to the over, and the same thing with Garrett Cole, 6-4, and then I think it's like some 5-4-1 to the over.
Yeah.
So, be careful with the total, folks. It's gonna be a good game. NBA, Ross, hopefully it's not the end, but I think somebody's warming up in the next room.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, Ron? I got to say this, and I'm going to be fully transparent. I can't wait till it's over. It was nice when it returned. It's just, I don't know. There's just something missing. Maybe it's no crowd activity where that playoff intensity doesn't seem to be there,
Yeah.
But it was like almost a foregone conclusion before the season even started. The Lakers, when they picked up Anthony Davis with LeBron James, were going to be the NBA champs. Are one game away from doing so. You got to give the Heat a lot of credit for the run they've made. I wouldn't they're not the type of team that's going to lay down tonight and just mail it in. But at the end of the day, there's something from my personal standpoint missing.
I'll tell you what's missing. I did a video on this morning, and I've said this a few times. Batman needs Robin, and right now, Miami Heat don't have a Robin. You look at the dynamic duo of the Lakers, and you can go back to 30 years, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Kobe Shaq, Mikal Bird, Jordan Pippen. Miami Heat are missing a Robin right now to complement Jimmy Butler. And
and plus the fact, I really think what's hurt them immensely is the loss of Goran Dragic to that plantar fasciitis injury. He's their point guard, and losing your point guard and a scorer. I mean, he's just not somebody who just distributes. He can give you double-digit scoring, too. And I just think when you lose your point guard and there's a big drop-off between your top point guard and your backup point guard, that's a tough thing to overcome against a quality team like the Lakers, especially a quality team like the Lakers, who have been one of the better defensive teams in all the NBA all season long.
Yeah, no, you're right. And all right, so hopefully we'll see a good game number 5. But I think the Lakers will finish it out this evening. But we did see a pretty good NFL game on Thursday night between the Bears and the Chicago Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did you see this here, right, Ross?
Yes, I do. Okay. I see Tom Brady there.
Okay, Tom Brady. I think Nick Foles is still looking for him to shake his hand right now.
Hey, he's beat him twice in a row now. Not too many quarterbacks can say that in the NFL.
You know what, Tom? I'm not going to make an excuse for Tom. He was just animated last night. He got mad at the offensive line during I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did. I mean, it was more of a tirade.
Yeah.
He's getting comfortable in Tampa Bay when that happens.
Exactly.
Because we saw that how many times in New England. I mean, the guy strives for excellence, and some pretty undisciplined penalties in that particular series in which Brady was yelling at the offensive lineman that you're alluding to, Ron. So, again, and he was short wide receivers. Mike Evans is playing on a bum ankle. No Chris Godwin. The other kid, the little white slot receiver they have, he was missing. You lose O.J. Howard, who's a downfield threat. So, I mean, he wasn't playing with a stacked deck, but give Chicago credit. They did what they had to do, and they came away with a win.
Yep. No,
look now, the Bears are 4-1.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see going forward.
Again, listen. I know we were on the opposite sides of opinions on this, but that's okay.
That's all good. Hey, what?
I mean,
4-1. You're right. You opened up you are what your record says you are. And the record today.
I mean, the only thing I could say, I picked them as a long shot to win the division. I picked them to go over 8 wins in our earlier shows when we first started. But I never expected Green Bay to be this good either, though, Ron. On the other side of the coin, I mean, I was adamant. I thought they'd go under 9.5 wins. They're making me look awful silly right now.
All right, Kreskin, you want to go to the SBI?
Hey, my crystal ball is very, very clear right now.
Mine's a bit smoky right now. I'm still seeing a lot of smoke in mine. All right, let's look at the SBI. SBI stands for Sports Betting Index. And folks, if you're new to the Raymond Report here at ATSstats.com, we have a feature here where we track all the activities going into the weekends or the weeks of all the books that are what they're looking. And as Ross Benjamin always says, we think like a bookmaker. And last week, Ross, so we had the week number week number 4, 66.7% of the favorites won straight up. 61.5 of the overs came in, and 53.3 of the favorites came in. So aside from what looks normal to me is the straight up factor and the ATS, just the overs. Last night maybe I always say the tides will turn eventually to the under, and maybe
I did a video on this from Aspen, Colorado the other day.
I saw that.
If you see the video on Ron gave me a hard time about that, folks. I did a video on the high scores and the high totals. You could get that right in my page on ATSstats.com. Yeah. And green screen technology is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no. It was a beautiful thing. I thought you were in a spa there in the Aspens. Yeah. All right. So Ross, going into this week, I think unders is probably the only thing I'll be looking at, but I think it's still open season on against the point spread. And let's kick off game number 1. We've got a team here that hasn't played in a while, the Pittsburgh Steelers, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Now the bookmakers have made Pittsburgh a 7-point favorite. The over-under at 45. ATS forecast, computer pick, going to lean with Big Ben and company here, Ross. 27.8 to 21.2. The over-under at 49. So the analytics do like it to go over. Looking at this matchup, will there be any rust with the Steelers? They've been off now, 2 weeks almost?
No, actually, just a week. It's almost like it was. Look, because of what happened in that Tennessee game, last week was deemed their bye week, and they're going to fill in that bye week with the makeup against Tennessee. Having said that, Philadelphia coming off their first win of the year run. They're now 1-2-1, and they're leading the NFC least, I call it. So you can imagine that. Look, last week they win the game at San Fran. Give them credit, 25-20, but they were beneficiaries of 3 49ers turnovers, which give them credit for that as well. Games are won. Whoever wins the turnover battle is going to be at the biggest advantage in any contest in the NFL, and they did so. But they were, let's keep things in perspective, they were also outgained 417 to 290 in that game. And again, I don't know, Ron, there's something just not right with Carson Wentz. I don't know. The kid had such high expectations, but he looks real good at times, and other times it's a lot of head-scratching plays. And this is a Pittsburgh defense, going back to last season, it's extremely good. And this year as well, their first 3 games are giving up just 290 yards per game.
Yeah, no, you're right. Philadelphia, I don't know what to make. You're losing to Washington, then you're beating the 49ers and they're at their place, and you're tying the Bengals. They're all over the place. There's no consistency, and they're just so erratic, on both sides of the ball. And you're right, Carson Wentz is just very inconsistent. I do have a Steelers trend here that goes back to 83. When the Steelers are a home team during week 4 to 8, Ross, after a conference game, and they allowed between 14 and 21 points against the last game, the under 2-9-0 to the under. So not a bad little trend to the under. Philly in Washington, looking at their history, 2-3 straight up and against the spread. A little surprised that there's not that many games considering 2 franchises that have a lot of history.
Yeah, their non-conference opponents has a lot to do with that.
Yeah. But you know what? Looking at this game here, Ross, it's really tough. I do like this Steelers defense. I think this is Big Ben is, he was injured last year. He's coming back. He hasn't played in a week, but I do like the Steelers a bit here in this spot. But looking at the Steelers, it's not as if they're really crushing people here. Like they're winning close games, right?
Right. And you know what? Again, I mentioned turnovers, and I know Philadelphia did well in the turnover department last week against San Francisco. But keep in mind, going into this game, Philadelphia is a -5 turnover differential this year. Pittsburgh is a +2, and Ron, another supporting, actually a supporting trend here on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since 2018, they've gone 3-0 straight up in ATS and non-conference home games, which this will be one of those, and they won by 20 points per contest in those 3 outings.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty good. Ross, with the Rain Report, we have a feature here, and if people are new to the Rain Report, it was based on 3 key fundamentals: value, the percentage play, and the cycles. And Ross, our line here at the Rain Report, I had Pittsburgh minus 5.25, and I had the Eagles at +6. So fair market value for the Eagles, but maybe the Steelers just a tad overvalued here. But you know what? I don't know. Maybe the total.
I'm seeing. Scroll down a little, and I want you to explain this. The line moves, okay? Side edges 10, 6, and then you're looking at the over and unders. 15 overs to 3 unders, 17 overs to 3 unders.
Yeah.
Explain to the viewers and the listeners exactly what that entails, Ron.
Okay, no problem. So at the top here, Ross, we give you the computer analytics, and then we give you a short summary on the last 5 games. So basically the small cycles right here.
Yeah.
And then I give you the market conditions of the percentage play. So think of value, the percentage play. So value and the percentage play up here. And then here's like more of the cycles. But down here, law of average, LOA is law of average. And that's your thing that I got off you, where you want to play in a team that lost against the spread versus a team that won against the spread. And normally there'll be a check mark if they do meet that criteria, but there's none. This is the plus minus, almost like a hockey thing, but the last 3 games. Got to have a little hockey angle in here, right?
Yeah, sure.
The streaks. So what, sometimes you're searching, okay, what's the streaks here? We'll give it to you in a nutshell. The latest line moves, when you click on it, you get the latest line moves. And the side edges and totals edges. So when I go down here and I scroll, instead of say some people don't have time to handicap them, but they do follow the edges and the check marks.
Yes.
What we do is we give you a summary, a Coles Note version of what's the edges of. So right now we have 17 edges for Pittsburgh to the over and 15 for Philadelphia.
Wow.
So, yeah. So we have 32 edges to the over
and 6 to the under. Wow, that's that's something that you'd have to take a look at as an indicator going in.
Yeah, and then we got the strength of schedule of the last 3 games of the opponents they played. So
I like that SOS. That's, folks, you got to follow that. That's very, very important because one team might be 3-0 in their last 3, and the other team might be 1-2. And then you look at what the line is in that particular matchup, and you could find some value sometimes on an underdog that's 1-2 against a team that's been 3-0 in their last 3, just based on strength of schedule, right, Ron?
Absolutely.
So sometimes a team who lost 2 of the last 3 has played a very difficult schedule in their last 3 games, while the team that went 3-0 in their last 3 may have beaten 3 teams that all currently have losing records. So that, to me, is really, really important, and it's a very good feature here on ATSstats.com.
Yeah, and it goes into my philosophy of short and long-term cycles. And sometimes you forget who a team has played, right, in their last 2 games. This gives you a really a short synopsis of those teams that they've played in the last 3. So I look at Philly. Philly played some tough teams, 61.1, and Pittsburgh played some soft teams, or as Hal Mummy would say, breathers, in his last 3 games. Look at this: the Texans, Broncos, and Giants, where 49ers, Bengals, and Rams. So you got 2
Texans, Broncos, and Giants. Let's start there.
Yeah.
0-4. 0-4 is 0-8 in the Broncos. 1-3, 1-11. Plus the fact that those 3 teams combined in their last 3 games apiece have gone 0-9. Case in point.
Exactly. So that's what the top. And when I created this rain report, I wanted the top to be where all the meat potatoes were. So this way, the rest here, it's important stuff. But I felt it's important because what happens, Ross, is when and I say this all the time, when you look for indicators, and if I put the indicators at the top of the rain report, then there's a flow in your mind that goes right. Then you follow that flow pattern, and hopefully it'll lead you to a selection, or it talks you off a game, right?
Yeah.
And
Ron, you have tutorials too, tutorial videos
yeah,
that
so
you did. Yeah, and I would encourage the people if they have interest and to get a full comprehension and make your learning curve a little shorter. Take a look at those tutorials that Ron has put up that explains everything we're talking about right now, but he elaborates further and it's
yeah.
more in detail.
Exactly. And, set aside like the weekend, set aside an hour because it'll take you about an hour to go through them. But they're cut in short videos. All right, let's go to the next game, Ross. We got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Cleveland Browns. I think this is the game of the week, to be honest. This is going to be a really fun game to watch. Now, looking at the latest line moves on this game, I'm just going to update I got 1.5 here for
Yeah, I saw Pick'em out there as well, as a matter of fact,
47 and
it opened at what, 2.5, I think, Ron,
Yeah.
right? Indy is a 2.5-point favorite.
That's right. You're correct.
Yeah.
And now I see the total now is at 47.5 at some places. Now looking at the computer pick here, Ross, it likes the Colts here with that. I don't know if they're the number one defense in the league right now.
Yeah,
but
they by far are the number one defense in the league, Ron.
Yeah.
I'll get to that after you're done talking.
Yeah, 22.4 to 18.1 against Cleveland Brown, who coming off a very impressive win over the Dallas Cowboys. And looking at their record, 3-1 on the year for both teams. The Colts, though, better against the point spread, 3-1 against the numbers, 2-2 for the Cleveland Browns. And here's the law of average that I keep mentioning. You got 3-1 to the over, and you got 1-3. So you got a defensive team up against an offensive team. It's just too bad that Chubb won't be in the lineup this weekend because it adds the firepower to the running game, which you've mentioned. And I'm bought in now a bit on the Cleveland Browns. And after last weekend, after that spanking I took, and but going into this one, Ross, this is going to be who's gonna win out, the defense or the offense? That's what it boils down to.
It certainly does. I mean, Indianapolis, as Ron alluded to, right now the number one scoring defense in the NFL at 14 points per game. They're also allowing, Ron, over the first 4 games, just 236.3 yards per contest. Wow. That's outstanding defense. And now to go to Ron's most recent games where he isolates the last 3 games for each team, Indianapolis in their last 3 games, 9.7 points per game allowed. And all 3 of those games go under the total. The Browns, here's the thing, Ron. You mentioned Nick Chubb. Make no mistake, that's a huge loss.
Yep.
I don't know how long he's out for. I know he's on the IR. Under the new NFL rules now, if you get placed on the IR, you're out for a minimum of 3 weeks. Yep. I got banged up last week, his knee, after just 4 carries. And that's the bad thing. The good thing is, even though he left after 4 carries, the Browns, still amassed over 300 yards rushing in that game against the Cowboys. And you know what? Baker Mayfield haven't asked him to do a lot. He hasn't had to, Ron, over the last 3 games since that loss to Baltimore. When you got your running game going that good, sometimes you could hide some of your quarterback's deficiencies. I'm not sold on Baker Mayfield, as you well know, Ron. I am sold on the Cleveland Browns. As long as they continue to run the ball well, they're going to be competitive in most games this year. If not, come out with a nice 9-7, 10-6 record when it's all said and done. Again, very intriguing matchup. The Browns running game against the Indianapolis run defense. That will be the key to who comes out on top in this game, as well as who wins the turnover battle.
Hey, when the Ravens won the Super Bowl, they told Trent Dilfer, here's the keys to the Cadillac. Just, park it on the way out.
Don't screw it up,
And that's exactly what I see.
Don't hit the curb. Don't bang it into anything. Just keep the wheel straight and don't speed. You know what I mean? In other words, manage the game. Don't lose the game for us. Just manage it.
So my number on this game, Ross, had it with the opening number at 2.5. I had to pick them here for Cleveland. The chances of winning, I do have Indy winning at 73% compared to 16 for Cleveland. The chance of covering, though, does favor the Browns at 42% compared to 13. And the Kogo, stands for chance of game going over the total at 51%. Now, I do have a nice team trend on the Colts, but it's not in their favor. It's in favor of the Browns. When the Indianapolis Colts are a road team during week 4 to 8 versus an opponent that has a winning percentage of 71 to 80%, they're only 3-7 against the number, but 2-8 straight up. So, look at the strength of schedule, right? 33% in the last 3 games. So they're beating the beatables, and this is why I question that defense, because they played the Bears. The offense is, they scored, the Jets. I don't even want to go there.
The Vikings ain't bad offensively. I just think that, to me, out of any game you're going to show right there, Ron, that was the game that probably impressed me the most.
Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde. The same with the Jags, right? They have 2 good straight weeks, and then 2 weeks where like they're walled up.
And keep in mind that Jags game, Ron, Jacksonville had like 240 yards of total offense. They benefited from Indy turnovers in that game.
Yeah. So that's my take on that game, Ross. Now, both teams looking at their look-ahead situation, which, sometimes you got to do sometimes. The Cleveland's got Pittsburgh, a division rivalry on deck, and then the Colts had the Bengals. But look at this. Indianapolis, when they go to Cleveland, 5-0 straight up, 2-1 against the number, but 2-3 to the under. And Cleveland lifetime against the Colts, 1-8. So going to be an interesting matchup this weekend. And let's be honest, Cleveland, after last year's disaster, they've got a lot of alphas on that team, and it'll be interesting. What I'm really impressed was Odell Beckham, and I heard it on the radio or the NFL Network. It was one of these shows, but they said something that I agree with, is that they got Odell Beckham involved early. And so you get him involved early, he doesn't whine, right? So because if he doesn't get the ball, it was like Keyshawn, throw me the damn ball, he says. And the thing is, if you get these guys, and hey, he wants to win, he wants the ball. And when you got an athlete like Odell Beckham, who's a very good football player, and he's saying you're wasting me, get me involved early, I think he's right. I think it's look what happened last week. They started with that double reverse pass, and and then these type of athletes.
And then he scored on a reverse himself on a run.
Yeah, and then when players like Odell Beckham feel they're part of the solution and not the problem, that's where they excel. And I think that's what the good game plan that the offense coordinator did last week, and they got Jarvis Landry involved and throwing the ball. It was a great situation that nobody's talking about, that really kickstarted the psychological point of view for the Cleveland Browns last week against the Cowboys.
Since 2018, the Browns, after allowing 35 points or more, are 5-1 to the under. Just keep that in mind as well, especially when you're talking about a defensive quality of Indianapolis. And, of course, the Browns' 49-38 win over Dallas last week. They did allow 35 or more by my count.
Another good game, Ross. We have the Minnesota Vikings against the Seattle Seahawks. But before we talk to that, Ross, I just want to remind the audience that if they are interested in the membership at ATS Stats or getting your premium picks, if they go to our website right now at atsstats.com, use promo code MLB20 to get 20% off your next membership package.
Let me blow my own horn for a second here, Ron, because this is one of those streaks that I'm on that it's – you have to cherish the moment, you know what I mean? And I know you could appreciate that because you know how difficult it is to get this hot.
Yep.
But over my last 32 picks in NFL and college football with my pay selections at atsstats.com, I'm 25-7. Okay. NFL 6-0 the last 6 and 16-5 the last 21. The last 3 Saturdays in college football, 9-1. And right now I got 5 college football selections, a big day on tap for Saturday right there at atsstats.com. You can go to my page and subscribe for a weekly or monthly package.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what, you're right. When you're hot like that, it's you got to let people know, because it's not when unfortunately, hopefully you don't go cold streak, but it's not the end. You want to let people know, right? Enjoy the ride while it lasts, right? Because we never know. But you're on a great run, and hopefully people will jump on board. The Seahawks, 7-point favorite this weekend against the Vikings. Now, I'm going to share two. I got a system, Ross, and a team trend to the over, which I'm going to share in a few minutes. But first, the analytics sees another high-scoring game. And look at these two teams combined to the over, 6-2 to the over. And the forecast is going to go with Russell Wilson again, 34.5, 29.5 for the Vikings, the over-under at 64. Seattle, 4-0 in the year, 4-0 against the spread, where the Vikings finally got that first win last weekend in Houston that probably got O'Brien.
Finally got Bill O'Brien fired.
Yep.
Long time coming.
2-2 against the number. And looking at the this weekend, Ross, now, to me, it's a two-player race for the MVP so far. I think Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are 1A and 1B right now. And you can make a case for both of them. But it's tough to go against Seattle at home. And I'm looking at the total here, and I'm going to share the couple of systems that I have here. First, the Vikings is a team trend. When they're a road team during week 4 to 8, and they allowed 22 to 28 points against in their last game, the over is 14-3-1. And any NFL teams going back to 1983 that are a home favorite during week 4 to 8 in the month of October, and they won last week as a road favorite, and it was between 8 and 10 points, 20-4 straight up, but 16-8 to the over. So, hey, this reminds me a bit of like baseball. Remember we kept saying, when are the favorites going to stop? Well, when are the overs are going to stop?
Yeah, I think they're coming soon. I don't know if it'll be in this game after what you just shared. And also keep in mind, since 2018, Seattle 6-1 over the total whenever there's a number of 49.5 or greater, which there is in this game. And the average combined score 65.7. And at home, and the total was 49.5 or greater on since 2018. All four of those games went over the total. And how about this, Ron? A combined 69.1 points per game were scored. You look at these teams, Seattle, 3-1 to the over this year, and their only under occurred last week. In that just barely went under the total as they defeated Miami. I think it went over by 1, and it was a score in the low 50s. Yeah, 31-23 at Miami last week. 54 points scored. To my point, Ron, these high totals, you're going to start to see some unders because of the escalating totals when you have games that combine to score in the high 40s or low 50s. This Seattle game last week was a perfect example. And Minnesota is 3-1 to the over as well, Ron. Their only under came against Indianapolis, who's just holding everybody in check defensively.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the main reasons for Seattle's success, and it's they're keeping everybody healthy. Like you look at their starting lineup. Carlos Hyde is questionable for this weekend, but aside from that, everybody looks like they're ready to go. And that we're seeing a lot of teams right now banged up. Like look at the 49ers, right? Just a lot of injuries, and that's the war of attrition right now is keeping your players healthy. Minnesota's doing a pretty good job. I don't see on the maybe on the defensive side they got a couple of guys banged up. Hendricks, the linebacker, is questionable, but you know what? Staying healthy is key. And looking at the history between these two teams, the last 10 games, the Seahawks 7-3 straight up, 6-4 against the number. So a bit of a history of doing well against the Vikings. But is this the week where the Vikings? Okay, they got that win last week. Can they put two together? And now here's the tough task. You're going up against Russell Wilson and the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's true. But here's the thing with me again with Seattle, and I've been against them a couple times this year and got burnt. Look, last week I had a free pick on Miami plus the 7 against them. I don't cover. The game ends up 31-23. But keep in mind, the Dolphins settled for 5 field goals in that game, Ron. So it's not like Seattle stopped. They allowed, again, over 400 yards to the Miami Dolphins last week. They once again allowed a passer to go over 300 yards passing, as Ryan Fitzpatrick had 312 yards. Seattle's not stopping anybody in the air right now. And you know what? Not only can't they stop the pass, they now have the unenviable task of facing a running back that's red hot in Dalvin Cook, who's coming off 2 monster games. So I got a slight lean here right now toward the Minnesota Vikings plus the points on the road. I'm going to give this one more time. We talked about jinx teams. Seattle's my jinx team right now because I keep going against them because of their defense, specifically their pass defense. But Russell Wilson is just playing out of this world, Ron, right now. 16 touchdown passes against just 2 interceptions. Here's the thing I like, Ron. You know, they finally said, look, Russell, here's your car, drive it, okay? We're done banging our head up against the wall trying to get a potent running game or balance on offense. Our strength is throwing the ball. We got great wide receivers in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. You do what you need to do to move this offense. And look at the results right now, Ron. The guy's just having a superb start to the season.
Yeah, and you're right. And if you look at that defense, they're still allowing 28 points against, but their strength of schedule, 33.3 the last 3 games compared to Minnesota, 66. I agree with you. I think this.
Yeah, I mean, look at if you have that available, how many yards per game is Seattle allowing passing right now?
Yeah, I'll have to look it up in the. But the thing is, I think it fits into our uncomfortable pick situation. And I think Minnesota.
There's a lot of those this week, right, Ron? I mean, we talked about this off air.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can make your whole board uncomfortable this week, and that's why totals. If you're going to play totals, maybe the unders is where you want to lean. But sometimes you're in these contests and there's no totals available, right? But if you're in the World Series of handicapping contest, there is totals in that contest. So
you're going to again this week, if you want to be successful, I think you need to make some uncomfortable picks. And the unders right now, look, the NFL right now through 4 weeks, this is the most combined points that ever been scored in the NFL through the first 4 weeks of the season. So unders are going to be an uncomfortable pick, right, Ron?
Absolutely.
And some of the underdogs you're going to have to take. You're going to have some bad teams that do good things for you.
Yeah.
So again, sometimes you need to do that, folks, if you want to be successful, because stating the obvious on a weekly basis is not going to make you money. So you got to take some risk. I think this might be the week to do so, Ron.
Yeah. Speaking of uncomfortable picks, this could be one of them. And sometimes, what do they say? Hindsight's 20/20. Maybe we look back on Tuesday and maybe the computer was onto something here, but it's going to be a tough task. But you know what? Going with that theme of uncomfortable picks, I do like the Raiders this weekend a bit. And I know it's a huge task and I'm probably one of the 2% who's going the other way. Here's the reason why I say that. Now, Bill Belichick, one of the best coaches ever to coach in the NFL, he exposed a bit of his blueprint, how to stop or not stop, but contain Patrick Mahomes last week. And Tony Romo did a great job showing it on TV. And he widened out his defensive ends to keep Patrick Mahomes from eluding the pocket and escaping. And he brought a 3-man rush. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And it really, that's why we saw a bit of a low scoring game. And I said it, sometimes your best offense is your best defense. By keeping your offense on the field and running the football, the time possession of that game was just crazy for New England, right?
Yeah, and Kansas City's giving up yards on the ground, Ron. They're allowing 160 yards per game rushing, and they're also allowing opponents to average 5 yards per rush. Yep. So, I think what we're alluding to here is sometimes your best defense is your own offense's efficient running game, because that goes hand in hand with time of possession. That goes hand in hand with keeping Mahomes off the field. And you're right, Ron. That was an excellent defensive game plan by Belichick as well. If not for the fact that, Hoyer and Stidham shot themselves in the foot and turned the ball over in crucial situations, New England not only would cover that game, they might have won the game outright.
Well, and let's be honest, there was a couple, and I'm going to sound like a sour milk because I was on New England. There was a couple of play calls by the refs that I felt were, that fumble or interception that wasn't called in the second quarter, I believe it was. The referee just absolutely missed it, and New England knew it. Kansas City knew it, and they hurried up and they went to the hurry-up offense. To me, I thought that was a fumble or interception when they got sacked in the pocket and the ball came out.
I agree, Ron.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't want to sound like
no, but it is what it is. I mean, that again, it goes back to the fact, and not to get off on a tangent. What I'm saying is,
Friday.
you love when I say that, right?
It
Because you
makes me
know,
laugh.
okay, here we go. Now I got to focus in because
You know
Ross
why
is
you know why
throwing
I
me
laugh,
off
Ross?
my structure here. So, but my point being is, Ron, is those are the types of games when you lose like that, like you did, that you look back and say, would I make that same pick again today? And, obviously if you knew the result, you wouldn't, but you got to look at the circumstances what caused you to lose that game. And most times than not, under ordinary circumstances, you're going to cover that game with all being said. So I didn't get too far off on a
No,
tangent,
no,
did
no.
I, buddy? All right,
No, no.
so
You know why I laugh? You know
I'm
why I
still
laugh?
I'm on the shoulder of the road. I'm not off the road completely.
Yeah, yeah. You know why I laugh? Because every time you say tangent, I think of The Simpsons, like old man waving fist at cloud. Just,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I
yeah.
think I'm going to buy a fishing pole for Christmas so you could reel me back in once in a while.
That's awesome. All right, looking at the line here, Ross. I'm seeing 11.5 now. The over/under is set at let me see here. I'm seeing 55.5. The forecast season upset 24.5 to 22. The over/under at 46.5. Looking at the Chiefs, I don't think the Miami Dolphins every year. They celebrate as soon as one team loses a game. I don't think. Who knows if it'll be this weekend? But is this the Kansas City Chiefs team that's going to run the table 16-0? I'd have to look at the rest of their schedule to see. It could well be. They got one of the best players at quarterback playing for them. But I see an upset this weekend. The over 4-0 for the Raiders this year. They're not bad on offense. They just can't stop anything on defense. And looking at their strength of schedule in the last couple of games, it's at let me see here. Oh yeah, because there was a change
They
in
played Buffalo. They played the Saints.
Panthers.
They played the Patriots.
They're
the
battle
Panthers.
tested.
I mean, the Panthers are 2-2, and they've won 2 in a row.
That's what I'm saying.
Their strength of schedule's there, Ron.
They're battle tested, and going in this weekend, and the Chiefs too. They played the Patriots, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Texans. So both teams going in this are battle tested. You got Gruden against Andy Reid on the sidelines. Who knows? We might. And this is it's the Raiders and Chiefs. It's an AFC West division rivalry. It's going to be a great game.
So go ahead. Did you have something to say?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so you talk about looking ahead and who you played last. It's hard to say that the Chiefs would look past the Raiders, albeit they've totally dominated Las Vegas, the Raiders franchise, I should say, in their last 3 trips to Kansas City have scored 10 points or fewer in all 3 games. And look, Kansas City knows that they're on paper a much better team than the Raiders. They played their last 2 games against New England and Baltimore, 2 of the better teams in the AFC, and on deck they got 4-0 Buffalo.
Yeah.
And right here in the sandwich game, you got the Las Vegas Raiders. I know it's a rivalry, Ron, but it's not been really a rivalry, right? Because Kansas City has dominated the series. Yeah. Another thing, as far as uncomfortable picks go, Ron, something to keep in mind, I like looking at head coaching trends. And why I do, Ron, is, as you would well know, a team likes to take on successful teams take on the personality of successful coaches. Right. And John Gruden, say what you will, has had success in this league. And Andy Reid, it goes without saying how successful he's been. John Gruden, since he's taken over in Las Vegas, is 10-2 to the under when facing a division opponent, and that includes 6-0 to the under on the road versus division opponents. Those games average just 39 points scored per game. In Kansas City, as a favorite of 10 or greater, since 2018 have gone 5-1 to the under. And if those games were at home, Ron, if they were a home favorite of -10 or greater since 2018, 5-0 to the under. So again, this all points to an over because of explosive offenses on both teams, but it falls under the category of that very squeamish, Ron, uncomfortable feeling of going, give me Kansas City and the Raiders under. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure, I guess. You know, it's one of those situations.
Yeah.
I hope my body language could tell you how I feel.
Hey, I'm sold to the man in the blue shirt right there.
Hey, Kansas City, by the way, Ron, you know, they're only allowing 17 points per game this season.
Yeah.
Their defense has been much better than years past.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's why I'm with you. I'm on the Raiders this weekend. I just it's just that uncomfortable. Sometimes you make a selection and you don't you can't pinpoint it, but you just got a lot of indicators, and you say, and it's uncomfortable, but it just, and again, you're not really beating Kansas City. You're beating the number,
yes,
right?
Exactly, and the number is high.
Yeah, the number's high, so and it's like a bonus, right? So hey. If they can win straight up, that's a bonus. All right. I hate to finish on this note here, but we're going to go Giants and Cowboys.
yeah. Here we go again. Boy,
I'm going to get all these.
I mean, this game is like putting me in a tub of boiling hot water.
Yeah, dude, I'm going to get some emails from all the Cowboy Giant fans. What do you mean you want to finish on that note? Oh, God.
Yeah, America's team. America's team.
Yeah, and it doesn't help when they were my 5-star best bet last week. That doesn't bode well. But, hey, bounce back Friday right here. But, Ross, looking at all seriousness, looking at the Cowboys here, -9.5, over-under set at 54, and I'll just double-check to see because you never know what the line moves here. 8 now. I see 8. I see 9.5. That's all over the place. 54. It's just fitting that we have a tie right here, right? 28.7 to 28.5. The over/under at 57.2. Both teams 1 win combined. 0-4 for the Giants, 1-3 for the Cowboys. And you know what? All kidding aside, looking at their records and their teams they played against this year, the one thing with the Cowboys, they never quit. Like they always play to the, like they play the whole
pretty strong schedule, right? They face so far.
Yeah, like like a 3-point loss here, 1-point loss here, a 7-point loss here. Okay, this one here, we'll give them a mulligan for this one. But this Dallas Cowboy team, if they can just get their act together on defense and lose, they got 2 linebackers that they're. You know how I am with Matt Campbell on Iowa State. I'm the same with the linebackers on the Dallas Cowboys. Lee and Van Esch?
Yeah, that was huge losses, man. That really Lee's a tackling machine. He just can't stay healthy.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost like Judge, porcelain guys. If guys can't stay healthy, trade them. Like that. As a coach, it's just you can't go to battle with slingshots.
Your best asset is availability, correct?
Exactly. And if these guys, that's a great point. I love that quote. And if you can't stay healthy, then you're not helping the big, because at the end of the day, nobody cares. All they care about is the W or the L. And if you got the L, it creates a really bad environment. Like winning is a lot of fun. Losing sucks. Let's be honest. And when you lose, it creates bad negative energy. And no one wants to be in the same room. No one wants to go to work. It's just not fun. But when you win, you want to sleep in the dressing room because you don't want to go home, because you just love the vibe, you love the atmosphere. And for the G-men, you know what? Playing the Rams last week, good game plan. Maybe the Rams came out flat and just weren't. Sometimes the football games are like a styles of fight. Maybe the Rams don't do well against historically against the Giants. They had the 49ers, they got blown out. The Bears was a close game. And then the Steelers on Monday night, that was close for about, 2.5 quarters?
Yeah, they were right in that game right to the end.
So
especially as far as the point spread goes. But look at the Giants' point productions in all 4 games. And my point's going to be is if Dallas's defense is ever going to get well, they better get well this week, Ron, because you're looking at a Giants team that's averaging 11 points scored per game right now. And again, this is one of those uncomfortable situations to go under the total in this game. On the flip side of that, you're looking at a Giants team that's 0-4 so far, but they have covered both of their games on the road against the Bears and against the Rams last week. And they held the Rams at 240 yards, Ron. That's mind-boggling when you stop and think about it, because the Rams offense, say what you will, has a lot of really good weapons in terms of their skill position players. and they got a reinvigorated running game with these kids, Malcolm Brown and Henderson. And somehow the Giants, who have that label of being a very bad defense, and, I can't say that somebody who labels them in that direction hasn't been wrong based on their last 2 years, but somehow they came up with a big effort last week defensively. So this is another one of those games that, to me, really, if you want to be successful, you got to contemplate taking the points here or going under, whatever way you want to go, because taking Dallas and going over is really the obvious thing right now, the way Dallas is playing. Look they lost in their last 3 games. They've scored how many points, Ron? If you could scroll down there, please. Their last 3 games, look, they've scored 38, 31, and 40, and they've only gone 1-2. And quite honestly, they were extremely lucky against the Falcons in that 40-39 win when they recovered that onside kick and scored 10 points in the last, minute and a half of that game. Yep. So they're giving up a lot of points. They're scoring a lot of points. The obvious thing would be to go over, but and especially the fact the last 3 times these teams have played have all gone over the total, if I'm not mistaken. So again, I hope I didn't confuse the living hell out of you, but my point is that this is one of those weeks. It makes me very squeamish because I know I'm going to have to do things that I'm not going to be real fond of watching the games that I use because it's so uncomfortable.
One thing I can't understand, and it just blows my mind, the New York Giants, 14-4 against the spread on the
road. Yeah, and 12-3 as a road underdog.
Yeah.
Including last week against the Rams.
I can't really put my thumb on what's.
Look at their straight up record in those games. I think out of that 14-4, there's something like 5-13 straight up. It's not like they're pulling upsets. And the 12-3, I think the 12-3 is a road underdog. They've lost 12 of those 15 games outright. So it's not like they're pulling off upsets. They're just getting inside the number, and that's all you need to do.
So what do you want to go back last 3 years, 4 years?
No, just go back to 2018. Correct. Yes.
Okay. So
2018 on.
2018. So against the number 14-4, 5-13, 11-7-0.
Okay. So again, now go to the Giants as a road underdog in that same time frame.
Away underdog. 3-12.
Okay, 12-3 ATS, just like I said.
Yeah.
Again, my crystal ball is very clear these days. And 12-3 against the spread, and they lost 12 of those 15 games outright. So I mean, it's not like they're pulling upsets; they're just playing good enough to stay close and get inside the number. So you can't overlook that. Now it's a new coaching staff, right, Ron?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not the Pat Shurmur era anymore that was there the previous 2 years. But having said that, I mean, this year they're 2-0 against the spread. Both as a road underdog, and they lost both games straight up.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing I want in the team that I'm supporting is consistency. And the Giants' offense is consistently bad. Just but at least they're consistent. You know what I mean? Like they on the year they average 11.7 points for a game. But in the last 3 games, 10.3. So say what you want. They are who they are.
Yeah,
and,
well, Ryan, it's this. It's a double-edged sword. If the Giants' offense is ever going to wake up, it better be this week against a Dallas team that's given up a ton of points and a ton of yards. If the Dallas defense, which has been so poor, especially over the last 3 games, is going to wake up, it's going to be against a Giants offense that's like you just touched upon. They're averaging 11 points per game this year.
And how can you put a total of 54?
That's what I mean. Again, it goes back. Yeah, it's.
Anyway,
it goes. And again, it goes back to how highest scoring games we've seen so far in the NFL. How highest scoring games Dallas has been playing, and the books pressing the envelope, knowing the bettors have been cashing in at an outrageous rate with the overs, especially the last couple of weeks. And let's keep making this higher and making it difficult. You're going to see a lot of games, I'm predicting, in the next 2 weeks, Ron, that are going to be combined scores of high 40s to low 50s that will still stay under the total. That's my prediction.
Yeah. And on that note, for the 50th show, Ross, hey, what a great time. It's funny how time flies by. 50 shows, and we finish.
Well, it's been a pleasure, buddy. I've enjoyed each and every one of them. I couldn't find a better partner to work with.
Yeah, same here, buddy. Like I'm having I always say, remember I said this a couple of weeks, you got to have fun what you do in life, right? And we wake up every morning. We're thankful we're in this industry, and we do a job we love doing. And we love guys like Lloyd who follow our show, and hopefully other people, if you're interested in following our show, hit the subscribe button, and hey, reach out to us. Tell us what you think of the show. Email us. You can contact Ross at rbwins.com, or if you go to ATS Stats, we've got to contact us. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And if you ever want a shout out on the show, hey, why not? It shows that you're interested in our show, and hopefully we got some subscribers who will jump on the bandwagon, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the prices are affordable, okay? And I could tell you I can't speak for Ron, but for me, there's a lot of these phone touts out there, right? And I could tell you, I know a couple themselves that are subscribing to me. So they're taking what you're paying for $149 a week or $499 a month, and they're trying to get thousands out of you, thousands for short game packages that they're purchasing from me, okay, or Ron. And I know Ron, me and him discussed this. I know for a fact that has happened with Ron in the past as well, if not recently. So again, folks, we're very affordable. We're not out to screw anybody. Our prices are what they are. I'm 25-7 with my last 32. You're not getting any phone calls from me to say, hey, you know what? I know you bought this package, but let me give you, I got something even better than the 25-7. It's never going to happen with either one of us.
Yeah. So, all right, Ross, hey, you know what?
I'm glad I can make you smile, buddy.
Hey, you know what?
I told my wife, Ron's probably the only guy who can control me. And she said, well, I need to talk to him then.
Yeah, that's awesome. It must be that Canadian vibe that we just come off here, right? But you know what, Ross? It's hopefully we come back here on Tuesday and we say what a great weekend of that uncomfortable.
I hope so, buddy. I hope
uncomfortable picks that we had here this week. But be careful, folks. This is one of those weeks. There's always one or two weekends in the year of NFL where
very scary. And I don't mean to sound like unconfident because I'm just being real. It's never easy, right, Ron?
No, but
this one, it's just not clear.
No, but the thing is, us haven't been there before. This ain't our first barbecue. Yeah. That we know that now maybe this is the weekend where we go the other side of the contrarian of thinking of the public.
Yeah, and not only that, Ron, I've said it time and time again, right? If you're going to get the books in the NFL, it's early, okay? Because once you get to around week 5, them lines get razor sharp.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the point spreads this week. I think they're razor sharp. And the totals, the only thing I'm seeing in the totals, I don't think they're as razor sharp as they are being set against public perception. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And on that note, Ross, we're going to wrap it up for the 50th show. And hopefully, folks, you will subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, right now running a promo, MLB20, get 20% off your next membership package. For Ross Benjamin, I'm Ron Raymond. This was the Raymond Report Sports Betting Podcast, NFL edition for Friday, October 9th. Have yourself a great weekend. As always, shop for value, play those percentages. We'll see you back shortly with another Raymond Report.